Cowboys go from here?
Oh, in the gutter. They're horrible. They're atrocious. We all know this. And, you know, I can have fun on a Sunday afternoon mocking them and making fun at them. But in all seriousness, it's a bad situation. I don't think that Mike McCarthy should last the season. I think that, you know, what you're looking at, I'm not challenging in any way his football knowledge. Mm-hmm. He's a coach. He's a Super Bowl champion. I'm not saying that. What I'm saying is you can look at certain teams, man, and see players, they ain't feeling their coach. They don't want to play for him. That's all I'm saying. I'm not talking about his X's and O's, his knowledge about football. He does not resonate with these players. You can see they don't want to play for him. Then I got to bring in Jerry Jones, and I'm certainly not going to take credit away from Max Kellerman here, who's been on the harping about Jerry Jones. I think that players look at somebody like Dak Prescott, who has balled, and you can talk about the money that they offered Dak Prescott, but when you don't take care of him, they know you ain't trying to really take care of anybody. You got cats with their contracts and stuff like that, but the bottom line is you got to take care of the man, especially when that man who was performing and had you having the #1 passing attack in the NFL is also your quintessential leader. I mean, does everything right as a leader for you. Then you got a guy like Ezekiel Elliott who is regressing before our very eyes. Fumbling the ball, causing interceptions because balls are bouncing off his chest. He can't catch, he can't run, can't block. And then he talking about being a leader and then come out there in the nation's capital and stink up the joint the way that he did. And then I want to say this. When your backup quarterback is chewing out the offensive line, you know it's bad. Now, you got injuries now. But, I mean, Andy Dalton was all over them. And guess what? He was right. Because that brother couldn't take one step back before Montez Sweat and these boys were all over him, okay? And then the hit on Bostic. First of all, let me say this to Bostic. He's a veteran. You should be ashamed of yourself. Seriously. I'm not trying to castigate him overall. I don't know him as a person or whatever.
That was a terrible hit.
But that hit, you're a veteran in this league. You know better. I think he should be suspended for at least next week. I think he should be confiscated this game's check and next week's check. Yes, I'm talking about taking money out of a brother's pocket.
I think 2 games suspension at least.
I'm just saying, he needs to pay for that. He had no business doing that. Even his coach, Ron Rivera, told him he'd do that. And then for not a single Cowboy to confront Bostic as well. I mean, talk about
that's
first
the
of all,
part that's
first of
so
all,
concerning.
your awful defense. You got Trayvon Diggs talking smack to McLaurin, and then lets McLaurin blow right by him for a damn ball for a touchdown pass. Okay, your defense stink. You can't get pressure on the quarterback. You can't cover in the secondary. You can't defend against the run. You give up 208 yards, and then on top of it all, you soft as tissue when it comes to Bostic hitting your quarterback like that. The Dallas Cowboys are a mess. I'm upset, Max, because I like to laugh at them. But there is nothing about them that is funny because they're so damn pathetic.
Can I just say one thing? Bostic is not expected to be suspended. That according to
he should get suspended. He should be suspended.
Apparently.
You just covered everything. Let me re-examine some of those points.
Sure.
1, the Bostic hit was awful. 2-game suspension to me is obvious. And the fact that the team did nothing key, you're going to have to explain that to me in a minute, because they did nothing. They just watched their leader supposedly get laid out on a dirty hit. No one did anything. It tells you a lot. 2, I want to talk about Jerry Jones and Mike McCarthy. Well, before I do, real quick, Ezekiel Elliott leads all NFL running backs in fumbles, drops, and quarterback hits allowed.
Wow.
Okay? He's not. You know how I get on Carson Wentz? Carson Wentz not the worst quarterback. He's like a mid-pack quarterback to me. But you're getting paid to be a top 5 quarterback. You're not playing that way. Ezekiel Elliott, same thing. People criticize big contracts for running backs. This is why. Like, they use you up early, and then by the time you get paid, they think you're not worth it anymore. Ezekiel Elliott's paid to overcome problems on the offensive line, to carry your team if you need him to, and he has not been able to do that. But the biggest problem is absolutely Mike McCarthy. What do I always say about Jerry Jones? Jerry and Stephen Jones do a solid job as NFL GMs, which is saying a lot, because most of the GMs have to work their way to that position. They just get to be GMs because they bought the team and they get to play with their shiny toy, right? But they average about 8.5 wins a year over the last 10 years. It's better than most. It's a little bit a tick above average. They hired Mike McCarthy. Why? What'd I say when they hired McCarthy? They hire a coach that gives them the sense that he's a head coach, but really you can push him around. Right? Like, he'll appease the fan base after Jason Garrett, who wasn't experienced as a head coach, got the job. Everyone's complaining, well, we'll get you a guy who really looks like a head coach and he'll give us the feeling, and he has Super Bowl pedigree. And what kind of nonsense did they try to sell us? Well, he realizes he needs to learn more about analytics. Do you know what Kim Jones, the reporter for Yes Network for years, Stephen A. on the Yankees and everything, she did a report on Mike McCarthy, said his analytics have shown, he's done some research, he's shown, when you get to 4 division wins, you're more likely to win the division. You mean to tell me, Mike McCarthy,
pathetic.
that out of the 6 games you play in the division, if you win more than 50% of them, you're more likely to win the division? What about 5 wins? Might as well get, how about this? Just imagine 6 wins in the division. Oh my God, you're practically a lock. Like this, but that's the extent of his analytics that was packaged as nonsense to try to justify putting a guy in there that could really be a Jerry Jones puppet. Or at least a guy like for window dressing, right? Like, here's our head coach. Fans, are you happy now? And we've done such a good job drafting and developing that we'll be able to win because we have the talent. No, you didn't. No, you don't. McCarthy wasn't a good hire. Nothing against Mike McCarthy, but the reason you hired him wasn't good. And until Jerry Jones can put his ego aside and hire a head coach who might get some credit if they win, the Cowboys will never win a Super Bowl.
Yeah, I look at it a couple ways. Yes, Bostic should be suspended, no question about it. And if I'm his teammate, if I'm Andy Dalton's teammate, I'm probably suspended along with Bostic today because I'm going at him. I don't care if I play receiver, lineman, defensive line, assistant coach. If I'm a part of what was going on yesterday, I'm in the middle. We throwing blows. You have to protect your teammate, man. You can't allow that to happen and then just stand there like, oh.
Thanks for watching ESPN on YouTube. For live streaming sports and premium content, subscribe to ESPN+.